I got this off Amazon for about 15 bucks some months ago, and being from the Tac-Force Speedster line, well, I've said very good things about that line in general before, with a handful of different models that they've done that I've found to be very good for the price. Very good, especially the blade, which is the most important part. However, clearly this blade is purely a novelty thing. You don't want to use this for many types of cutting, real cutting tasks. You don't want to go through much material with this. You don't want to use it for hunting tasks. You don't want to use it for anything that is at all wet in any way, because all these holes are just going to fill up with material. They can drag against material if you're going through it. So this would be something to look at, be happy to have, just because it's cool if you think that it's cool. Or if you're going to use it for like everyday carry kind of uses, it's going to be limited to just, simple stuff, stuff that city folks do, opening boxes, cutting tape on things, maybe opening or cutting through a couple zip ties or something like that. Just not any heavy duty thing that's going to be going through here. Also, because of all these cutouts, and especially this one here, which comes way too close to the choil, or vice versa, at a very thin point in the blade, where it's thinned it down, you don't want to get this into anything and then start wiggling it around, because I do have some worries about breakage if you put too much force on this. I mean, it's not a fragile thing. It is steel, but just relative to a solid knife, you're not going to get as much strength out of it. So with that context set, I will talk about what I feel about the blade just as an edged object. I did sharpen this up and test it out a little bit. I actually found this one to be not nearly as good as the other Tac-Force Speedster knives that I've gotten to date, including some that I haven't even put on video yet. I found it to be a pretty consistent line, but this one has let me down for sure. Had a little bit of trouble getting it to hone up nicely. I did come with an acceptably sharp, usable edge from the factory at a decent angle. It's about 25 degrees per side. I did go ahead and hone that up myself, and I found that the burr just was very difficult to remove. It just kept hiding and then kind of springing back out. And even now, this is about 12 hours after I honed this, and it has definitely lost its edge. It was much sharper than this when I set it down last before I picked it up. So I'm not happy with the quality here. I also looked at it under high magnification under a loop as I was going through the sharpening process to see what was going on with that edge, and I found, or it looked like it was getting some microchipping, even not at the coarsest of hone that I was using. It was getting some microchipping on the edge. So I think that just the metal on this one did not turn out well. It may be a batch issue. That is a risk that you run going with these really cheap knives, but just in general, based on those experiences alone, I can't recommend this for really any reason other than just looking at. But I think you can do better. You can definitely do better for every reason. It's got a glass breaker back here, which is okay. I guess that's fairly stable. It's got a strap cutter here, which is just a semi-sharpened portion of one of the liners. I don't like that design in general, and these really don't work well. I've tried testing out that kind of design, and it's not something that you want to try to use in an emergency at all, ever. You want something that's much better than that. This can be opened two ways, so you can open it from your thumb. It's spring assisted, obviously, and it has the flipper back there. Works just fine. The action is fine. I did find that the blade is able to move around a little bit more than I would like here, up and down. The pivot is tight enough. Any more tight, and it's going to definitely be holding back the blade. There's no wiggle when it's loose right here, but it still is able to just move the whole thing. And I can actually feel the frame or the liners bending just a little bit in there. So all in all, pretty much just all bad with this one. Not satisfied with the purchase, even for a cheap price, even if it was 10 bucks. I don't like it, and I wouldn't recommend it again.